What's up, my Central Unit? It's the Central Man here. So, back again with another review of Monday Nitro. This show was on the 18th of September 1995. This is the first show after Fall Brawl. I'll explain to my final thoughts of this week's, really this episode of Nitro. I'm trying to say. So, this show was at Johnson City, Tennessee. Yeah, the opener of this episode of Nitro is weird. It's completely weird. Basically, the Taskmaster and the Giant came out from. They arrived in the arena with an ambulance, and and the Giant said about Hogan. I was thinking when you felt like being back of the white horse, it's meaning of the ambulance. He kind of dubbed himself as the true immortal because Hogan's nicknames, I think it's like his nicknames for Hogan is the Hulkster and the immortal Hulk Hogan. So and the Meijin said if your dad was here, he'll be very disappointed. And the Giant says if my dad was alive, he'll be stand beside me and say about his foul to end Hulkamania. So moving on to really the first match of this Nitro. Originally, it was supposed to be the American males. That's Marcus Alexander Bagwell. He later on become both Bagwell and Scotty Riggs. It was originally supposed to be originally it was supposed to be American males versus the Blue Bloods. That is Lord Steven Regal and Earl Robert Ian. Unfortunately, the Blue Bloods got taken out by the tag team champions Harlem Heat, and basically Booker T called a promo, and they said about the Blue Bloods should never be here there in the first place, and basically we are the tag champs, and really they challenge really they put their tag team titles on the line against the American males, and Booker T says turn, they're gonna turn up the heat on Nitro. Anyway, so basically we got Holland Heat defending the tag team belts against the American males, Bagwell and Scotty Riggs. This was a good opener. In the end, you got Colonel Robert Parker came down to the ring, basically picked up Sherry, basically distracting Holland Heat in the process. I think Booker T was going for like a pop handle slam onto Bagwell, but I'm guessing Bagwell countered it, or really dropped. He paired a pin Booker T to win this match, and the American males won the tag team belts. And by the way, they dropped the belts 9 days later back to Holland Heat on an episode of Saturday Night Main Event, and that will be on. It'll be a tape because we'll air this in October because the difference between at the time Nitro and Main Event, Saturday Night Main Event, because Saturday Night Main Event is a tape show, Nitro is a live show. Anyway, so I understand it was really shocking why the American males really beat Holland Heat for the tag team titles, because Holland Heat won the titles the previous night at Fall Brawl against Butthouse Buck and Dirty Dick Slater. That was a bad match, last couple hours ago in the early hours. 1 second, there's a fucking. Sorry, folks. There was a wasp trying to get in the room. Anyway, so where were we? Yeah, it was just like that was a bad match. Early hours of today. Going. It was about nearly like 12ish, going into 1ish of today in the early hours. Like early this morning. Yeah, I did a review of WCW Fall Brawl 1995. Yeah, that was a bad show. Anyway, so yeah, it was. I don't know. I think that, yeah, it was due to, I think that was for ratings ploy, trying to pop a rating. I understand that. But I hate them. You know, what's the point having Holland Heat defeat Bunhouse, Buck, and Dick Slayer at Fall Brawl, and then end up dropping the belts the next night on Nitro? I don't get it. And also, and then they regained the titles back a week later at Saturday Night Main Event. I don't want to get into it. So anyway, you had this advert for Randy Savage Slim Jim. You know, it's damn shame. I don't think I get Slim Jim in this country. It's a damn shame because I think it's like a pepperami, because we call it a pepperami. It's basically sausage in a packet of sausage. You know, you sometimes you get red in packets. You get red. That's fire, black, and green. Um. Anyway, so and then we got the second promo segment of this episode of Nitro. Basically, you had Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing Ric Flair. And Ric Flair said about, you know, Arn Anderson kind of broke the code. Like, he self-proclaimed, he brought his family behind the scenes, brought his family out behind the scenes, and also brought an outsider, that's referring to Brian Pillman. And basically, he challenged Pillman to a match, and he said he's going to kick his ass. And he said about, he kind of put over Pillman at the same time, says, greatest former football player, because I've done my research that Brian Pillman had a career in the NFL. He used to play for the Cincinnati Bengals before, you know, retired due to injury, before stepping foot in the wrestling ring. Okay, and then we got the second match of Monday Nitro. We got Johnny B. Bad versus Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. The match was okay. Wasn't bad. Wasn't like spectacular. It was okay. In the end, I think B. Bad was going for like a sun flip roll up, but Orndorff countered it, so Orndorff scored the victory. Like I said, it was an okay match, but at the same time, you know, I'd rather have Johnny B. Bad really getting the victory, because he did like the previous night he had a great match with Brian Pillman, and he got a shot at the United States champion. You know, he's facing Sting for the belt, and he should have. I think Johnny B. Bad need that win more than Paul Orndorff, because at this point, Orndorff was kind of past his prime. Not too long, he'll end up retire for a little bit. I think he wrestled in 2000. You know, anyway, yeah, the one segment was kind of bad. Another bad, you got one confusing segment. You know, the opener segment with Taskmaster and the Giant, you know, arriving in the arena on the back of the ambulance, and we got another confusing segment. You had Randy Savage on the beach, you know, it was on the set of Baywatch. He was doing bench presses, and all of a sudden he got attacked by the Taskmaster, and then all of a sudden you had Ric Flair trying to break up the fight, trying to get Kevin Sullivan away from Randy Savage, and trying to help and trying to help the Macho Man. This is confusing because Flair had a rivalry with Randy Savage. This was like, I hope it's not taped. This was like a random. This was like, I hope it's like a day before, or this is confusing. Why Randy Savage is on the beach? Because the episode of Baywatch won't be aired. Really, it won't be aired until February of 1996. And you know, this was a month ago. This was like 2 months ago. Bash at the Beach happened. This is confusing. I was mind-boggling. Why Flair helping Randy Savage? You know, he was a babyface. I'm guessing that at this point he was a babyface at this moment. He'll turn heel again to reform the Horsemen. Okay, and then you got Randy Savage. Basically, you know, came out sort of about like, so, you know, Meiji brought that why Ric Flair helping Randy Savage from the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan. You know, Randy Savage says thanks for no thanks. See you in the next life. See ya. Don't want to be ya. I don't care. And then also it's about like, it's basically want to take the like with Kevin Sullivan, it's like taking the head off of a snake. And also, yeah, like basically kind of confronts Luger. It said about Luger cheap shot of Savage at the War Games match at Fall Brawl. That was a boring match. And then you got, basically, yeah, Luger came out. Both like Savage and Luger kind of bickered, and Luger says, "Oh, the only reason I came came to Nitro to challenge the big boys. It almost came to blows between Savage and Luger. This is kind of planting the seeds of Luger turning heel. And then we're moving on to they kind of cut scenes to the Giants. They had this was on it's called main event, not Saturday night main event, but main event. This was like before Fall Brawl happens. You had basically the Giant destroy Hulk Hogan's motorcycle. He was riding on a monster truck, and then the Giant, basically doing the super villain cackle. This is planting the seeds of the monster truck brawl at Halloween Havoc, and then the cut scenes from showing up at Fall Brawl. In basically this, I don't really call it like I said in my review of Fall Brawl 1995. I don't really call it a match between Hulk Hogan and Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster. He came to the ring, choked out Hogan, and basically snapped his neck. And Heenan says he unscrewed his head like a cheap bottle of whiskey. That was a good line for Heenan. I think I fucked it up last night. Not really last night, but early hours of today. I said unscrewed his head like a bottle of whiskey. I think I said. Anyway, it's just building up for Hogan's match with the Giant at Fall Brawl. That's why he didn't show it up for this episode of Nitro. I've done my research that Hogan. This is the time that Hogan's taking breaks from Nitro. He only came back if the ratings go up. Anyway, so moving on to basically the main event of this episode of Nitro. We got basically the main event. We got Ric Flair versus Flying Brian Pillman. It was a good, decent main event, way better than the last two. Hogan versus Big Bubba and Hogan versus Luger for the WCW title. Because last week's why I keep saying the last week's Nitro, from night of 1995 was ended in a DQ by the Dungeon of Do guys, and then the previous week it was basically Hogan defeat Bubba Ray, not Bubba. I almost say Bubba, Big Bubba. Sorry, I almost say Bubba Ray Dudley. Clean. Anyway, it was a good really short, good match. In the end, they were fighting outside of the ring. In the end, Pillman trying to hit like a high fly maneuver. Flair locked Pillman with the figure four leg lock. Pillman he didn't really tapped out because at the time they were just like if a wrestler locked you in a submission hold, you just basically shout "I give up," and then I think until 1997, this when it'd be 1997 until the wrestlers to this day tapping out. Because the reason why Flair challenged Pillman to a match because Pillman cost Flair's match with Arn Anderson at Fall Brawl the previous night, and afterwards Ric Flair on the mic and challenged Arn Anderson to a rematch from Fall Brawl. Anyway, so my final thoughts. Oh boy, for this week's Nitro, I say it's a little bit better than the previous week's Nitro, the go-on show to Fall Brawl, but that's not saying too much. Let me think. It was confusing at the same time. These segments were so confusing. It's just like it's 1995. You're not going to get a good show in 1995. It was a bad time for the wrestling business. No, actually, for the two major wrestling companies. That is in WCW and the WWF. So. In the good I put for Nitro, it's very hard to rate Nitro for this week. Or not this week, but for this episode of Nitro, I'm trying to say. On the good, you got Hall and Heat versus the American Males for the WCW Tag Team titles, and also Flair versus Pillman. That's in the good. In the middle, You got Johnny B. Bad versus Paul Nordor, and also there were a lot of confusing segments in the bad. You basically had Taskmaster and the Giant arriving in the arena in the ambulance. You got Flair. You basically had you had Savage and Flair in the beach. That was so confusing. I don't really put the Savage and Luger segment as a good, a middle, or in a bad. It's just building up. It didn't really work. It's not working for me. It was okay. I think it's just building up matches for Halloween Havoc. Sorry, kind of turned on my beard trimmer. Anyway, I'm gonna give it. I don't give it. I don't give it. I probably have to give it 5.5. Actually, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 10. No, I give it 5.5. It was just a bit of a mixed bag. Like I said, it's a bit upgrade from last week's, but that's not saying too much. So anyway, so that's my review for this episode of Monday Nitro. Hope you like it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash the like button and subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. And this is the Central Man officially signing out. Sorry, there's nothing to talk about because it's because the first few months of Nitro, it's a 1 hour show, and then it'll go up to the 2 hours, and the 3 hours. It's only they kind of cut it's a good reason. Like I watched it on the network. They cut away the adverts. It makes sense. It looks like now, but yeah, 45 minutes. That's close to an hour. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, this is Sedgeman officially signing out. Check you later.